Yo, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. I am excited because in today's video, we are doing an unboxing and first impressions of the revamped and refreshed Yoeleo R12 Aero frame set. We do have a lot to cover in this video. We're going to be talking about the specs, the weight, just some of the issues and history I've had with Yoeleo, and just sort of how I feel about this frame directly out of the box. Oh, and by the way, if you are new to my channel, my name is Patrick Lino, and I am a cyclist in the Chicagoland area who builds bikes, who does bike reviews. And if you really want to support the channel, then please let me know in the comments down below how long that you've been following my channel, because really it's only because of your support as the viewers and the followers that allow me to keep making bike videos such as these. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay guys, so in this video, we do have a lot to go over. We're going to be talking about who is Yoeleo, my history with the brand. We're going to be talking about my conflicts with Yoeleo, the price, the specs, the improvements of the R12. We're going to talk about the SAT C50 Pro wheels because they do look really cool. Talk about the packaging, presentation and content, of course the weight, my first impressions of this build, or the frame I should say, and of course finally my plans for this R12 bike build. So first and foremost, who is Yoeleo and what exactly is my history with the brand? So if you haven't heard of Yoeleo before, Yoeleo is a Chinese-based bike brand that's they are currently in Xiamen, China, which is the carbon capital of the world, and they've been established as a brand since 2011. However, the factory production actually began way back in early 2007, back before Yoeleo was Yoeleo, back when they were manufacturing OEM carbon fiber components for overseas bike brands. So basically, Yoeleo has been around for over 15 years making OEM level quality bike parts and frames. And currently, at the time of this video, Yoeleo, they sponsor a Conti level professional race team, and they've also started to sponsor some of the professional level criterium teams here in America. So it's very clear that Yoeleo is trying to position themselves higher up on the market level based on what I've seen from them over the past couple of years. And in fact, if you go back to the very first two videos on my channel, the very first two videos that I made were actually reviews on both my Yoeleo R6 Aero frame set and rim brake, along with their rim brake wheels. And I've also reviewed on this channel my Yoeleo G21 gravel frame set, as well as their gravel wheels as well. So I have a long history reviewing their products, and I think that for the quality, for the frames and the wheels, that Yoeleo makes a phenomenal product. Now, moving on to my conflicts with Yoeleo. So this is going to be kind of long, but I want to make sure I get everything clear and transparent for you guys so that you can make an informed decision on your purchase. So after I started making videos with Yoeleo, or for Yoeleo, I should say, about 2 years ago, I've had two personal friends of mine who've purchased from Yoeleo. Now, at that time, Yoeleo were quoting them delivery times of about a month. However, 1 month turned into 6 months, and then 6 months turned into 9-month delay for my friends who've purchased frames and wheels from them with the intentions of racing them. And eventually they just ended up canceling their order because, of course, they didn't want to wait any longer. And they unfortunately ended up buying their bikes from the major bike brands. Now, I've even had followers of this channel message me through my Instagram who have also told me about the extreme delays that they've been having with their orders through Yoeleo. And unfortunately for me, all of this left my relationship with Yoeleo extremely sour. In fact, I really didn't even want to deal with Yoeleo at all anymore because of these delays. And in fact, this R12 frame set that you see, this actually was supposed to have been sent to me almost a year ago. Believe that or not. So I was supposed to be reviewing this frame back in 2022. Now, of course, I do understand the production and logistic issues that all of the brands have been having. So I do understand that from that perspective. However, when you think about it, the reason why brands send out these products, bikes, frames, components, etc., to content creators to review, obviously it's with the intentions of marketing themselves. However, for myself, I really can't endorse any brand or product if a company cannot meet the demands of their customers or their customer service, or if they cannot be accountable for their products and service. And that was why for a long time, I really did not want to deal with Yoeleo at all. The good news is, with all that being said, I've had some conversations with Yoeleo over these past 6 months. We've been going back and forth, kind of letting them know my thoughts on what they need to do to improve their customer service, especially for Western customers. And I've also spoken to some of their most recent customers, and it seems like that Yoeleo has finally gone back to the great customer service that I remember from them almost 2.5 years ago when I first purchased my Yoeleo R6 rim brake frame, as well as their rim brake wheels. So thank you, Yoeleo, for finally getting all of that out of the way. It looks like you guys are finally back on the up and up. So my advice to you as a follower of my channel, or even just a future customer of Yoeleo or any brand that I've reviewed on this channel thus far, if Yoeleo or any brand, if they don't answer all of your questions to a reasonable extent, do not purchase from them. If you get the feeling that they aren't being transparent with their fulfillment times, do not purchase from them. Make sure that you hold these companies accountable to stand on the information that they provide to you as a customer. Make sure they're being forthright and truthful to you. And if you do decide to spend your money with Yoeleo or any company for that matter, and somewhere down the line after your purchase, before you actually receive your purchase or your product, that there's magically now these extra months of delays for fulfillment times or anything like that, do not be afraid to ask for a refund. In worst case scenario, you can always do a chargeback with your credit card. Just like I say, guys, if they're not being transparent with you and you feel like they're not going to be offering the experience that you thought that you signed up for when you made your purchase, just take your money elsewhere, take your money to one of their competitors, go with the major brand, but make sure we hold these brands accountable, because for me as my channel, I want to make sure I'm giving you guys at least as honest of a review as possible. And I don't want to market or endorse any brand that are going to turn around and basically treat their customers like crap. I'm not down for that. Like I said, based on my conversations with Yoeleo's marketing team, as far as I know at the time of this video, they do have a full stock of sizes and colors for the refreshed Yoeleo R12 frame set, and they are ready to package and to be shipped. So you figure if you are ordering this frame and it is in stock, it's probably going to take 1 to 2 weeks for them to package everything, and I'll explain to you why. And then of course, whatever time it takes for your shipping carrier to arrive at your door. Okay, so moving on to price, specs, and improvements of the R12. So the current price for the Yoeleo R12 is $1,590 USD, which includes your choice of handlebars, either the integrated cockpit or the separate bar combo. Yes, this is a little bit of a price bump compared to the previous model on their website. However, rather than design a brand new frame for this Yoeleo R12, Yoeleo did basically just a refresh of their existing R12. And it's not uncommon to see these sort of refreshes in products, as we know this is something that the auto manufacturing industry does all the time with their cars. So what exactly though did Yoeleo update during this time? So by making the frame UCI approved, that means that, obviously there's a certain level of perceived quality and safety that should be there. They've changed the placement of the seat post clamp. They improved the bike building experience by revamping the hardware. There seems to be a higher quality of a paint that they use. And just overall, Yoeleo is making strides to provide better customer service, as well as packaging and better presentation of the frame set. Now, if you look at the frame is undoubtedly an Aero frame, but the geometry, if you look at the stack and reach, it sort of lends itself to having a good balance between Aero and being an all-road frame. So whether you're looking to spend long days out on the road for endurance rides, or even if you're looking to use this bike to race, which you know that based on the Conti teams that they sponsor, that this bike of course is ready to be used for racing. Now, for myself, I went with the size 56 frame set in their Hamodium. Is that how you pronounce it? Hamodium color? I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't really care, but the color looks absolutely sick in the sunlight. It's basically like this hologram sort of sparkly effect. It looks just fantastic. So kudos to Yoeleo for this paint job, because I absolutely love it. The max tire clearance on this frame set is 32C tires, which is great. The bottom bracket is a BB386 rather than the traditional BB86 bottom bracket. Now, it still is press fit, but in my personal experiences dealing with frames that use the BB386, that usually means that the bottom bracket area is a lot stiffer and more reinforced than a standard BB86. Again, just in my personal experience, there's no scientific data to back that up. Scientifical is not even a word, but you get my point. Oh, and by the way, the Yoeleo R12 is not an open mold frame, as maybe some folks in the forums tend to believe. This is actually Yoeleo's own design, so it makes sense why they would want to refresh this frame set rather than spend all of the money trying to engineer and design a brand new frame from scratch. Next up, let's talk about the SAT C50 Pro wheels. These are of course tubeless. The specs on these is 50 millimeters in depth, 27 millimeters external, 21 millimeters internal, although I measured in at about 20 millimeters internal. They come with black pillar wing 20 Aero spokes. Of course, the wheels are UCI approved, and they currently retail for $899 USD, which I think is a great value for everything that you get. However, the main feature with these wheels is Yoeleo's upgraded hub design. So Yoeleo is now using a ratchet system technology versus the traditional 3 or 4 paw design. Yoeleo calls this their 230 SP ratchet system hub. And basically, this ratchet system technology uses a 52 tooth design featuring star ratchets. Now, this design isn't anything new if you've dealt with wheels before, because this basically is a similar design of a DT Swiss hub. And the cool thing about that is you get great reliability. It means there's no tools required to remove and service the hub, and you don't have to worry about any of the paws falling out should you decide to remove the free hub, something that has happened to me with some of their competitors' wheels. Next up, let's talk about packaging, presentation, and content. I'm going to tell you guys right now, Yoeleo absolutely knocked it out of the park as far as packaging and presentation of this frame set. As soon as you open the box, you immediately get excited because you 100% feel like, oh man, I just bought something from a big major brand. Everything that came with this the frame set, including like the hardware, the tools, everything you need, including options for both running a metal or a carbon railed saddle. Just everything, the way that they presented this bike looks amazing. It's phenomenal. No questions that for what you get as far as customer service and presentation, that it's worth the $1,590 USD.
Alrighty, boys and girls, it is our favorite time for all of my videos, which is where we weigh out the frame, the wheels, components, all that good stuff. But before we do, huge shout out to the Brothers Johnson with this LP right on time. Brothers Johnson, they are an amazing band from the 70s out in LA. Louis Johnson, crazy bass player. If you like to hear slap bass, just crazy bass lines in general, make sure you check out Brothers Johnson. And funny enough, this album cover was the inspiration to my brand new Boomaye jersey. Unfortunately, sizes are limited. So if you are looking for a size, please shoot me a message and hopefully I will have a size for you. But anyway, let us get this cracking. All right, gonna try to do this one-handed. All right. This is not the only thing that I do with one hand either. I'm just kidding. All right. So this is for the frame, size 56 frame. All right. Size 56 frame for the Yoeleo R12. Ooh, yikes. 1,344 grams. Now, even though it does have the derailleur hanger and some of the plastic bits inside for internal routing, 1,344 grams. Chunky boy. Oh, and it also includes the bolts for the bottle cages. All right, next up we have the integrated handlebars. Integrated handlebars. Again, with all the plastic bits. This is a 400 millimeter width and 120 millimeter stem. And for that we have 456 grams. Alrighty, moving on to the fork, uncut fork for Yoeleo R12 size 56. We have 414 grams, excuse me. And last but not least is the seat post, carbon seat post. It does have the sort of aluminum railings in place just to keep the clip in place, but I mean, that's probably negligible. And the weight on the carbon seat post, uncut, is 264 grams.
So you can kind of see the weights on the screen, but I realized that I forgot to remove some of the other smaller bits on the frame. So the actual true weight of the Yoeleo R12 frame set in a size 56 is actually 1,344 340 grams. So this is a list of how the frames stacks up against some of the other Aero frames that I've reviewed in the past. So the Velo Build 166 unpainted came in at 1,005 grams, which if you add paint back in, it's probably closer to 1,200 grams. The Dangfu R12, again, unpainted, about 1,112 grams. Add paint, we're looking at closer to 13. The Windspace Aero frame, same size, in a 1,218 grams. Yoeleo R12 here, which is what we have, is 1,305 grams. LA Sprint rim brake, yikes, 1,459 grams. And of course, my most recent 2022 Specialized LA Sprint disc comes in at a whopping 1,521 grams. So at 1,300 grams for a fully painted original design, I would say that's pretty much in line with a mid-tier level Aero frame set.
Okay, all right, next up we have the DB Pro wheels. In a 50 millimeter depth wheels, like I mentioned here. All right, so this is for the rear wheel. Rear wheel, we have exactly, 801 grams. 801 grams for the rear wheel. Next up is the front wheel. And I'll make sure to put the totals of all this on the screen so you guys have a total of what everything weighs. All right, now this is for the front wheel, same depth. We have 705 grams. So 705 grams, that's for the front wheel. So what is that? 705 plus 801. What does that give us? That gives us 1,506 grams. Is my math correct? 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1. That's free quick maths, right? 1,506 grams. So let's continue.
Moving right along, let's talk about just my first impressions of the frame set visually. Upon inspection, the paint is absolutely flawless. It definitely is resembling that of a major brand. No flaws with the paint at all. It's super glossy. It's extremely striking in the sun. There aren't anywhere where the carbon is exposed. There's no raw or rough carbon anywhere that I can see. And as far as the caliper mounts, everything looks really, really good. Like I say, guys, Yoeleo has made great effort to present this frame, from what I can tell so far, to be completely flawless and something you would expect from a brand or a frame that would probably cost, I would say, at least $3,000 to $3,500. So kudos to Yoeleo. You've been doing a great job with the presentation and the finish on your frames for at least the last 3 years as far as I've been reviewing here on this channel. And last but not least, guys, my plans for this build. Shimano Di2 12 speed, and that's actually based on the feedback from you guys back in my previous video when I asked you what sort of group set I should try next. You guys voted for me to try the Di2 12 speed versus the SRAM Force, which I've already used on my LA Sprint anyway. So it'll be interesting to see how the Di2 12 speed works. It's just really crazy how far my channel has gotten in the last 2.5 years. I remember when I first got on this channel, I was doing mechanical shifting rim brake. Then I moved from mechanical shifting hydraulic braking, and now I've gotten to the point where I've gone full electronic shifting with hydraulics. It's just I never thought that 2.5 years ago that I would be at this point where I'm basically purchasing these most recent technology for shifting. Unfortunately, with the handlebars, because the handlebars are 400 millimeters in width, 120 stem, and only a -7 degree, that I might actually end up using my own handlebar and stem combo and using my trusty FSA number 69 headset, because in order for me to really put this bike frame through all of its paces, whether it's maybe practice crits, definitely some fast group rides, all of the max efforts that I would normally do, I want to make sure that my bike is set up identical to all of my other favorite Aero road frames like the Windspace T1500, as well as my 2022 Specialized LA Sprint. I want to make sure the bike fit is dialed in. Plus, it gives me a better level of modularity to be able to swap out components on the front end should I decide to switch up the handlebar or the stems. Now, when you look at the frame, the wheels, the components, and the power meter, you're going to be looking at about almost $5,000 USD for this complete build. Again, that's with a power meter. However, when you look at other comparable mid-tier level bikes that are currently for retail on various websites, for example, like the Canyon Aero CF SLX, the Specialized Tarmac SO7 Expert, or the Trek Imanta SO7, those bikes are going to cost at least $2,000 to $4,000 more than this Yoeleo R12 complete build if you also include a power meter. So even though I haven't tried those bikes, it will be interesting to see how this bike stacks up and if I can tell that if this actually is going to feel like or perform like what I would expect a $5,000 bike to feel like. Okay, so we finally have gone through everything now. So in upcoming videos, guys, I will have a build on this, and I'll be able to hopefully take this out on the road to show you guys what it actually feels like. But that's going to do it for today's video. I want to give a huge shout out to Yoeleo for finally sending me out this frame as well as the matching wheels to build this up. I'm really excited for what Yoeleo has been doing most recently. And like I said, from the feedback I've heard from various followers and the friends of mine, Yoeleo has finally done the 180 to get themselves back on the map, back to providing the customer service that we've come to expect from them from a couple of years ago. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. And I will check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.